Today on Mysterious Morsels, we're talking about Halloween candy favorites. Halloween, of course, very fun for multiple reasons, but candy is obviously something that's going to go hand in hand with Halloween. And it was interesting because as a kid, a lot of the same stuff is still around that we still eat. And then there's some things that have gone away, and then there's some new things that have popped up. So, just wanted to give a list of things that I thought were fantastic for you to give out if you're a Halloween candy giver outer. And if you're one of those people like my old neighbors used to be that close up their lights in their porch and leave a bucket of peanuts outside, I would say to you, you're no fun. So yeah, don't be that person. The number one candy actually that was listed is M&Ms. And I'd have to tell you, they're like my least favorite candy. So I find that funny because you can go peanut or regular, and they melt in your mouth, not in your hand. And M&M's obviously been around a long time, but I found that interesting. So M&M's were actually slated as the number one. Not my number one, but number one in general. So apparently they're the most, I guess, flexible, and you could get like a little pack of them. So it makes sense. For me, it's always been about Twizzlers. I love licorice. Twizzlers, Reese's Peanut Butter Cups, Kit Kat, and Snickers and Twix were like the go-to basic things. Now, I love a good 100 Grand and Baby Ruth, and they're kind of maybe considered older candy bars, although they're certainly still around. I was never a fan of Three Musketeers or Milky Ways. Never was. I don't like the texture. I don't like the taste, which is funny because I love caramel. But for some reason, I just never got down with the Milky Way, and I always felt like it was fluff and a wrapper with Three Musketeers. But they've always been part and parcel to that. And it's funny because Butterfinger, although probably made most famous by Bart Simpson in the early 80s, I felt like Butterfinger was a newer candy. I mean, it's not, but compared to like an old school Hershey chocolate bar, and coming from the Philly area, you're going to see Hershey bars everywhere. So I was always partial to that, although you could, of course, have almonds or not. Now there's so many different types of Hershey bars and Symphony and whatnot. But plain old normal Hershey bars were definitely something that you would do and see in your trick-or-treat bag. I think that Reese's Peanut Butter Cups were the basis of normal, but then you also had like Reese's Pieces. That was not my thing. I thought they were kind of like the M&M answer to Reese's and or possibly the Milk Duds upgrade. Milk Duds versus Whoppers. Same thing really, but not. I don't know. There's a debate there. And again, that's an old school candy like Tootsie Rolls. I was never excited to see those. They were sort of like the filler that went in with other stuff. Skittles, Sour Patch Kids, never really my thing. To me, Sour Patch Kids and Skittles were kind of the newer candy. Skittles to me was like eating plastic. Sour Patch Kids, I'm not much for sour. Old school Nestle's Crunch, gotta love them. They were good times. And that was sort of like the basis of what I thought made up Halloween. Now, here's the funny part. I love Rolos. They are kind of an old school candy. York Peppermint Patties, not my jam, but very popular to give out. Starbursts. I love Starbursts, but usually we get a pack of them back in the day. Chunky. Love Chunky. So many people don't know what a Chunky is today. Very cool. It's got raisins in it. A lot of people are not a fan, but I am a big fan. And then again, old school, you could see Sweet Tarts, whatchamacallits, and Good and Plenty very often. Heath bars and Score bars, essentially the same thing, but basically toffee and chocolate. And then Payday. I'm not a peanut fan, so I was not a big Payday fan. Really old school was Pez, and you would get the dispenser if you were lucky, and then a couple of refills. Pez was just very cool. Although I always thought that the little teeny Pez candies looked like soap, like little bars of soap. They certainly tasted yummy, but looked like little bars of soap to me. Then there's the Mounds and Almond Joy fight, because sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. Almond Joy's got nuts and Mounds don't. But if you're in a coconut, that was cool because you had the milk chocolate versus the dark chocolate. Peanut chews as well. That was always a dark chocolate choice. Now you can have milk chocolate ones, but I don't think they made those until later. And my absolute, like, I love Twizzlers, don't get me wrong. But if I had to like go get a candy and it was the last candy on earth or something that I could ever have, I love Toffee Phase. They're very hard to find. It is basically a hazelnut with a little bit of chocolate poured into a cup of caramel. They look about maybe the size of a quarter. And my brother got me hooked on them when I was a kid. I love them. They're chewy. They're chocolatey, they're nutty, it's got everything, and I would call that a high-end candy. They're definitely, you can get like a little box of 4 if you're lucky enough to find them. And I think that little box might even be $2 because they're definitely a higher end candy. But as far as specialties go, that was always a thing I loved. And as much as I love licorice, and I total respect for Twizzlers, like the original strawberry Twizzlers, I don't really like Twizzler flavors. The peel and eats are a little more plasticky to me. And I do like the bites, but the bites are cherry and it's a different kind of texture. But a different kind of spin on licorice. When I was a kid, they used to have the little licorice pipes, and you could get them in black licorice or red licorice. I love them. Around the corner from my house is a great homemade candy company called Bevan's, and they're in Media, and I just love them. And they made their own caramels. I used to go get my dad a box of caramels every year for his birthday or for Christmas because he loved them. They made in-house. It was literally a little house that was converted. And they used to have them, Turkish taffy, things like that, like just really specific things that they would have. And a lot of times you see you would see the Mary Janes, or you'd get like the little molasses bits. I was never a Boston baked beans fan, but you would find stuff like that, or like Honey O's, or Junior Mints, and then later on they would give away to Caramel Mints, or Good and Plenty, Mike and Ike's, things like that. So a lot of movie theater candy could also be something you could buy in bulk for Halloween. And it always seemed to come out more around that time because people would obviously give it away in droves. Now, obviously, if you're going to be the house that's giving out a full bar, you're probably going to get more action than the other houses. But we really don't get that many people, so I always stock up for nothing, and I'm lucky if I get 2 trick-or-treaters. But I think that certainly any kind of candy is good. And then there's people that give out stuff that's like, here's a pencil, here's quarters, here's the toothbrush. Really? That's not fun. Come on. But nowadays, what's a quarter gonna get you, except for maybe one gumball if you're lucky enough to pass one in a grocery store. But there's so many different candies to choose from that you could go back and go through. And I mean, like, who eats at Fifth Avenue anymore? But you still see them sometimes in the old candy shops. But they do tend to make a comeback around Halloween because everybody's mass producing whatever they had. I was never a chewy and sour kind of person. Nerds and nerd ropes and things like that was not my jam. But I felt like they were newer candies. Airheads were like a newer candy. Laffy Taffy was like a newer candy compared to stuff that I grew up with. And I was never a lollipop fan either. You might see Tootsie Rolls, or I love the Tootsie Roll commercial for Tootsie Pops. Tootsie Roll center for Tootsie Pop. How many licks does it take to get to the center? But other than that, it just kind of depended on your taste. So I would always go for the little Twizzlers and the Twix and the Snickers and stuff. But now they even have the minis, and there's fun size and mini size and all different things. And they've done these different derivations of the big cup, or the different Twix flavor, left Twix, right Twix, the different Kit Kat flavors. You see Girl Scout cookies and stuff in there. And it's all sorts of crazy. So there's a lot of choice now that didn't even exist before. But I think when it comes to the ratio of plain old school candy, whatever your favorite is, I hope you enjoy it and indulge a little bit, at least around the season, and do what I do. 1 for them, 2 for me. So buy whatever bag for the trick-or-treaters and make sure you get one for yourself, even if it is just once a year. I don't care if you're digging out old school Razzles and finding sweet tarts and bottle caps and Coke bottles and all those great things. That candy cigarettes was always a thing when I was a kid, or bubblegum cigarettes. Used to love them too. If it's old school candy, my sister's always had a thing for tea berry gum. I find it repulsive, but she loves it. Or if you're just going to go plain old normal Hershey's and Twix and Skittles, whatever it is these days. But enjoy your sweet tooth time for this time of year because you have an excuse. So hopefully you enjoyed my walk down the memory lane of candy. Thanks for watching Mysterious Morsels. Don't forget to let us know in the comments if we missed any of your favorites, or if you'd just like to share what your favorites are. If you like this type of content, scare the like button into turning blue and subscribe. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. Thanks for watching.